Vintage Vibe.
Just in case you haven't figured it out yet, it's tuner review time on the Vibe.
Hey, thanks for joining us. And I love vintage things, particularly vintage tuners. And there's a gutter ball. Yes, I am addicted to vintage audio. And I'm proud of it. I mean, over the years, I've had, as you could probably guess, countless systems. And when it's coming to, or we're talking about radio tuners, probably 50, 60 at least. So today I want to share with you a little review on some of the most recent units I've had the chance to listen to, as well as dig a little deeper into the vintage vault and share with you some of my most favorite radio tuners, because tuners for me, my favorite source. Really, with vinyl, a close second. So stick around and join us for a little different of a vintage vibe experience. See you soon.
So we're going to start with the Kenwood, the KT-7300. This tuner is easy to live with. It's tremendously well built at 8 kilograms. The front end uses 4 FM gangs, and it has 3 wide filters. So in stock form, it's a tremendous performer. In fact, it's only second below the legendary KT-8300. I've had one of these, and this is a great tuner, even by today's standards. And straight from the Vintage Vibe vault, here's a photograph of my Kenwood 600T. Now, did they compare? It's hard to compare them. I mean, this is a completely different league tuner. I think there's 6 FM gangs in this, for example. This is more comparable to the KT-8300, but still in a league of its own. Probably the most analog sounding tuner I've ever listened to. But
So what I'm trying to say is that Kenwood knows how to make a great tuner, right? I mean, it comes from great stock, and it really does mirror some of the qualities of its bigger brothers. The Kenwood 7300, really in my opinion, can't do any wrong as a vintage tuner. It's very obtainable, reasonably priced, a bargain, quite possibly between $200 to $300. You can commonly pick one up. It's a great match with any vintage amplifier. The variable gain really lets you help kind of set your volumes between your components. The unit's got great FM presence. So when you dial in, and it is a great performer when it comes to being sensitive. When it dials in, it locks in and it holds. It doesn't drift. The bottom end, the bass is full. It's got good depth to it. The mid-range is not romantic, again, like a Marantz. The unit kind of borders a little more accurate with being crisp, particularly in the high frequencies. But the mid-range was the closest to my Magnum Dynalab. My Dynalab is a very modified FT-101 that has the triode component from an MD-90, as well as the audio section from a 105. The Kenwood really impressed me. It was a quiet tuner, so in between broadcasts there wasn't a lot of hiss or anything like that, and there was good stereo separation with the tuner. I really enjoyed it.
And out of the darkness, straight from Tokyo, Japan, you guessed it, Sansui, the TU-999. This was Sansui's top of the line in the early 70s, made to mate with the AU-999. It's also a 4-gang tuner with variable outputs. Sit back and take it in. The Sansui 999 is one of those tuners that grows on you. With the piano finish trim, black face, and green dial, it's one looker. And check out this luxurious walnut case. This is pure Sansui. And with its 3 FETs, this thing will dial in like nobody's business and lock in on your station. It also has a selector for FM auto and stereo muting and MPX noise canceller. It also is one of the most purely analog sounding tuners that I tested, and that's why I still have it today.
The Sansui is fantastic sounding. Now I love Sansui, but the TU-999 is one of the easiest to get along with tuners there is, bar none. Now, it might not have as big of a stereo presence as the Kenwood does. It might not have as crisp as a top end as the Kenwood does, but sometimes you find yourself just getting lost in the Sansui. That's because I think it's a better balanced sounding tuner. It's a little closer to the analog sound, like taking your favorite record, putting it on and sitting back and relaxing. You can enjoy it for what it is, and it's one tremendous tuner that can still be bought for about $400. That's a bargain for a tuner of this performance.
Hold on, because here comes Sony's 5130. This is a tremendous tuner. It's right up there with the Sansui. Equally as distinguished looking and available with an optional wooden case, the 5130 is a tremendous unit, packed with features and one of the most sensitive tuners I've come across. As mentioned, variable outputs, as well as 75 ohm and 300 ohm antenna inputs, and you can see the AM antenna bar down below. But the real magic just lurking beneath the lid here. And in fact, as we move a little closer, you can see the 5-gang tuner underneath that clear plastic shield to keep the dust out. I mean, Sony thought about everything to maintain the performance of the unit. A healthy transformer, 8 ceramic filters, MOSFETs in the RF and in the mixing stages. This thing weighed over 20 pounds. It really does have some unique features, including a headphone amp, which you don't normally see on a tuner, as well as a series of filters including high blend and something called INS, which we'll come back to. Now you can see here the signal meter pegged far to the right. It really is a tremendous performer. Now that INS switch you can see on the far left, you activate that to remove noise off the AC line, for example, those that appliances would cause. Now that's pretty neat, and the first I've seen it in an FM tuner anywhere. Now moving right along, again you have FM muting, as well as your normal selections for FM, FM stereo, and you have an AFC switch, which is actually a manual lock to hold the signal tight. So how does it sound? Well, it's definitely one of the more analog sounding tuners, a little more similar to the Sansui than it would be the Kenwood. Now it doesn't have the shimmer of the Kenwood or the depth of the Kenwood, but it certainly makes up for it in other spots. It's very musical, again more analog sounding, like listening to your favorite vinyl. It certainly is a tremendous performer, and it's an easy to love tuner. And now for something completely different, the Kyocera T-910 Super Tuner. I think this is quite possibly one of the most beautiful tuners made by any manufacturer, bar none, with a unique mixture of wood, aluminum, and even ceramic. From its fluorescent vacuum display with signal readout and a very simple yet effective push button for memory right down to its adjustable feet. Real wood sides, a true ceramic base. I mean, Kyocera was a ceramic company. They integrated the technology into this unit to eliminate resonance and improve the sound quality. You've got switches here for narrow mode, You've got de-emphasis, you have MPX filters, Dolby noise reduction. It's a fully loaded tuner. And the best thing about it, it sounds phenomenal. It really is a wonder. And it was a top performer in comparison to my Dynalab. I really enjoyed the Kyocera. And if it looks complicated inside, that's because it probably is. Now, someone had to recap the board, and I did go in and fix some of the solder points. The vacuum display was weak or depleted, and unfortunately some of the digits were blurry, and you just can't get a replacement part for it anymore. And you can see on the right hand side I had to install a separate battery because the original battery was also depleted and soldered in the board, making it impossible to get to. The grounding straps, I had to resolder them and clean the potentiometers. But once that was all done, I got to sit down and enjoy it before it found its new home. And it did edge itself above the T-999. This is a fantastic tuner. What will you pay for one? Probably between $300 and $400, if you can find one.
Now, I hope you enjoyed checking out some of those units. Come back for part 2 when we take a look at the highly modified Dynalab, the Yamaha, the Sony 333 ESG, and we have some concluding comments and take a peek again into the vintage vault. See you next time. Thanks for joining. Don't forget to like and subscribe.